Hey, so just touching in to see how you guys are doing, see how you're feeling. It's another one of those weird energy days. So we have no activity on the geostorms, solar flares. The Schumann is like almost not even doing anything. So the outside on the chart stuff is not showing up. But I'm sure that you guys will agree and let me know the stuff on the inside is like showing up, right? Like all of the stuff is showing up. And so everybody experiences how they process this kind of stuff differently. You might be processing things physically. So there may be a lot of what we call the ascension symptoms. So it can be excess energy in the body. It can be causing you pain, the headaches, the migraines, the upset stomach, all of that on a physical level. You could be feeling it on the emotional level. So you could be feeling some anxiety, some depression, some emotional stuff coming up that needs to be, Spirit's just saying that needs to be unlayered because it's all coming up in layers for us. And you might be feeling like a little bit of everything. And this is interesting because let me know if if you feel into this, like really feel into it for yourself, if you would agree that sometimes the physical stuff shows up for you because there's some emotional stuff that you're like suppressing or you're not honoring or you're not releasing, right? Spirit's just saying that a lot of us try to contain it within our container. And when we do that, it then has to express itself. And so then it expresses itself in a physical way. So feel into that. Like if that's your, is there some sadness that you're like not pausing long enough to allow yourself to feel? Is there some anger, some rage, that hostility that needs to come out that you're like not allowing yourself to feel because you think it's bad? Is there some jealousy that's coming up? Is there some victim energy or lack energy that's coming up that's kind of making you feel sad or lost or scared or alone? Feel into that because it's like when we have these days where there's not a lot of solar stuff, there's not a lot of Schumann stuff, there's not a lot of like movement for the energy in our body, it becomes stagnant and stuck. And that's when we really kind of like have the awareness that it's there. If that makes sense. Like we really have the awareness of the density that's within us, that, I get Spirit saying the layers that need to be released and transformed. And we have that awareness of it because, our physical body starts to feel good. Our emotional body starts to not feel good, right? We have that awareness. It's the same thing. So just as, we're energetic beings. And so in order to move these frequencies through our body, we do require some type of movement. There needs to be some type of movement, whether it's movement that's generated through our emotions or through our physical body. There needs to be that type of movement. Just like when we talk about just the physical body, the human 3D body, we have a whole system called the lymphatic system, which literally its job is to move the garbage through the body, through the fluid system, right? And when we don't move, when there's no movement, so if you're somebody that is sick or you're not feeling good or you're having pain or you're, feeling depressed and you can't get up and move, when we don't have that movement, all of that garbage just stays in the body and the body becomes sicker on a physical level. So Spirit's just showing me that have the awareness that also happens on the emotional level and on the spiritual level. They're just saying without movement. So feel into that. Without movement on a emotional level, what do you have that needs to kind of be moved and cleared on an emotional level? Is there some fear that's sitting there? Is there some rage or some frustration or some sadness or some grief or loneliness? Remember, don't have any of these with any judgments, because you're not like and Spirit's just saying one is not better than the other. They're all equal vibrationally, right? They're all vibrational energies that if you could like show up to the vibrational energy store and say, yeah, I'll take some joy and some happiness and some peace and some calm. Nobody's showing up and saying, yeah, you know what, give me some rage and some hostility and some anger and frustration. Nobody's showing up and saying that because we don't want it. But we still have to process it. It still needs to express itself. It still needs to leave our physical body, our emotional body, our energetic bodies. It still needs to clear and go through. And Spirit's just saying that collective energy again. So yeah, I know, I don't want to hear this anymore either, because I'm like done with the collective energy stuff. Like, I'm having a hard enough time processing my own stuff. I don't need everybody else's stuff. But here's the thing. Spirit is reminding me that some of us have come here to do that. Some of us are doing that. We're transmuters. We're transmuting energy on this planet. We don't like it because, again, like, who would show up to work and go, yay, I get to like transmute some fear and some anxiety today. Like, yay, I get to hold that sadness in my heart. I don't think anybody does, right? Like, I'm certainly not showing up to work every day with that kind of attitude. Maybe it would help me. Maybe I should, maybe it'd help me get through my day a little bit better, a little bit easier. But here's the thing, is we have to remind ourselves, as if this collective energy shifts, if we all shift together, if we're like all holding each other's hands, if we're like, here, I've got you, here, I'm one step ahead of you, I'm going to help you. And then you're helping the one person that's one step behind you, and so forth and so on. We're literally lightening the energetic load, and that's what we need to be doing. We need to be lightening the energetic load. And we need to do this again. This is, Lee and I just finished doing our podcast, which I hope you guys are going to check out and listen to our podcast because they're pretty cool. But we were just talking about how, serving the purpose, right? Holding the light, following the light. It's not just a generic, like, throwing it out there. This is, follow the light. It's literally, you can take it literally. We need to be lighter. There needs to be a lightness to how we feel, how we think, how we express, how we experience. And that stuff is 100% within our control, right? Because, again, it's like, follow the breadcrumbs. So here's my thoughts. My thoughts are then generating an emotion. I'm having an emotional, the emotions are coming up, and then my emotions are going to generate the experience. And then it just becomes this looping. So if we go back to like the very basics of it, if we go back to, so what are my thoughts? What are my thoughts around that? What kind of, and Spirit's just saying, ask yourself, what kind of vibrational frequency are my thoughts generating, right? Think about everything in frequency. It's the simplicity of it, right? Because we can like literally add so many pieces to the puzzle that it becomes just chaotic, right? It becomes jumbled. Our minds just become jumbled and chaotic. So if we bring it back to just the simplicity of, so I'm having this thought. What kind of emotional energy is it generating? What kind of frequency? Is it making me feel good? Is it making me feel bad? Is it something that I've just been suppressing, and that's why my thoughts are not letting it go? Is that an emotional charge in my body that needs to be released, that needs to express itself? And it's just that my mind has been like, don't feel that because that's bad. And if you feel like that, you're weak, and, and blah, blah, blah. You know how the mind can talk to us sometimes. Feel into that, because is this like, Spirit's just saying, is it like time for purging, time for releasing, time for clearing, time for acknowledging that you're holding these denser frequencies? And that's okay, because we all are. Everybody is. Even the ones that look all shiny and pretty on the outside and everything's wonderful, they're holding it. They're holding it. So it's our opportunity to like purge, release, clear, let it come in, right? Let it go out, let it express itself. No more like pushing it down. No more like the self-judgment, like the, condemning yourself for having these thoughts, these emotions that's generating the experience, right? They're just saying, going back to source, going back to source. That's what we need to do, we need to go back to the source. We need to follow the breadcrumbs back to source, and then know that it's at that moment that we can feel into it. Is this thought that I'm having serving me a purpose? Is it going to generate a feeling that I need to release and let go of? Because if that's the process that I need to go through, then that's a good process. But if it's a thought that I'm like just looping, because that's what my mind does on its own with any kind of direction, am I just looping it and looping it so that it's generating more and more and more emotions that are not serving the purpose? That's the trick, right? That's where it's like, we have to go in there and it'll be unique to you. It's going to be very unique to everybody. So you go in there and you feel into it. You're going to spend some time. This is why the energies are quieter today, right? You're going to have some time to process things, to bring some action if you need action. And to, this whole thing is self-discovery. We are self-discovery explorers. Sending you guys huge blessings.